The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters radio show was originally broadcast on April 20th, 2021.
Aloha and good morning, Maui. Welcome to Business Matters radio show, sponsored by Mokulele Airlines and Sherry Reeve Gallery and Gifts. I am your host, Pamela Tumbat, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce. Today, we're going to cover a number of subjects. We're going to first talk to Hawaiian community assets and community lending and learn more about their programs. We're going to talk about activities and attractions with the Activities and Attractions Association of Hawaii. And we're going to learn more about Bella Vita Apothecary, a locally owned company. So it's usually a very fast-paced morning. So we'll just get started. I'd like to welcome our first guest, Jeff Gilbreath. He is the Executive Director of Hawaiian Community Assets and Hawaii Community Lending. He is involved in several organizations and experienced in nonprofit administration, board governance, affordable housing, which is on all of our minds, community lending, which is very important, and financial literacy. So, Jeff, we're so excited to have you. Aloha and welcome.
Aloha, Pam. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We're so glad to talk to you today about housing. I know you've been a great and strong advocate for that. I'd like you to share with our listening audience, if you don't mind, a little bit about your experience. And I shouldn't say a little bit, because you have 20 plus years of experience in community development with a focus on affordable housing. Could you share with our audience about that?
Yeah. So, Pam, I really cut my teeth on affordable housing in particular when I started working for Honolulu Habitat for Humanity, and that was back in 2006 when I started that work. And you know, my experience was really rooted in helping families get financially qualified, even for the habitat homes, which most folks don't think you have to, have a credit score or have to have your income in a certain place or your credit report cleaned up. But that's not the case. So it was really helping families one-on-one get qualified. But as I started to do that work, I also got a chance to get on the job site and build homes. And so every weekend I was out there building with the families. And so from that, I stepped over to Hawaiian Community Assets, and that's where I really started to learn about all community development solutions, but again, still staying focused on affordable housing. And at Hawaiian Community Assets, as I've worked there, it's really been about supply and demand. So how do you support the partners to build the units? How do you get the government to help out in that way? And on the flip side, how do you get the families to qualify? So that's been me for the last 15 years at Hawaiian Community Assets and Hawaii Community Lending. I think what it all really comes down to is just my passion for affordable housing. I've lived in a single-parent household, and we had a little mom-and-pop store on the bottom, and we lived on the top. And so know what it was to kind of work to make sure that we stay housed and that the workplace was where we were housed. And so, really just committed to give folks that opportunity to have a stable home under their feet and put my expertise or my experience on the table as best I can. So, a little bit about me.
That's really awesome. And I love that you talk about your family home as you grew up was, this mom and pop store with a house above. We have a few of those on Maui, and I love those. I love that concept, too. I wish we had more of those because we have such an entrepreneurial community here as well.
Exactly.
So that's kind of a really unique experience. I think they have more in Honolulu than we have here, but I really love that concept. And, and also your passion for this, I keep talking about, we're so far behind in housing, and our children and one of my children in particular as well, went off to college and started a career on the mainland, but always had a hope of moving home. But as they start making more money there, as they start looking at what the housing costs are here versus on the mainland, and you can buy so much more for so much less over there, it becomes a real challenge. And so it's something I know that you're very passionate about and working on. And a key thing that you folks have been working on is, well, before I talk about the program that you're working on with the county, I'd like to learn a little bit more about the breadth of what Hawaii Community Assets is doing, and about Hawaii it's Hawaiian Community Assets and Hawaii Community Lending. Could you share a little bit more about those programs, and then we'll talk about sort of the work you're doing with the county?
Sure, Pam. So I think for all your listeners, this Hawaiian Community Assets likely has a place for them. So Hawaiian Community Assets, we are a community development nonprofit. Most nonprofits out in Hawaii are social service based, but we're really focused on building communities that are affordable for everybody, that are mixed income communities, that are places you want your kids to grow up and stay and raise their families. And the work that we do really centers around this idea of a financial opportunity center. And so we have a Maui Financial Opportunity Center there in Wailuku on 24 North Church Street. And under this center, it's basically a financial and career coaching service center where we're helping families increase their income, improve their credit, and at the end of the day, build assets by financially qualifying, in particular for home ownership. But under the Financial Opportunity Center, we really have three core services, and it's financial counseling, income supports, so think about grants, loans, access to public benefits, and then career coaching. And so the whole approach is that how do we help folks and families who are low income, moderate income, be able to increase their income so they're not as housing cost burdened. But if that's not an option, how do we look at their finances and sit down with a family and really go through and find out what are the priorities for spending, so maybe we can free up some money to move into that affordable rental, or to really put something down for home ownership and realize that dream. With our income supports, what's so powerful is that we own a community loan fund known as Hawaii Community Lending, and Hawaii Community Lending offers a couple different products that I'd love to have your listeners know about. One is a match savings account. So if folks are enrolled in our Financial Opportunity Center, Hawaii Community Lending can get families up to $4,000 of matching funds if they save $1,000. And those matching funds can be used for first month's rent and deposit, down payment, closing costs. We also have loans for debt consolidation, credit building, even some monies for closing costs again. And so that's the second service, that income supports. And then career coaching. We really talk about a family's finances while at the same time talking about their career aspirations. Where do they want to go? Where do they see themselves? And in what industry in 5-10 years? But we have a partnership there with the University of Hawaii. We inked a deal where all of our financial opportunity centers, which are located across the state, are now partnering with the university system so that we can do cross referrals into their career and technical education, non-credit and credit programs. So, we're not necessarily the experts on job training and job skills, but we can and we should be talking about career aspirations in the same setting as a financial counseling session when we're talking about home ownership as the goal or affordable rental housing as the goal. So our organizations, all told, we serve about 1,500 individuals a year. We've been around since 2000, and we were founded there right in community in Wailuku in the Paukukalo homestead 20 years ago. And now we're there, and we're really working with that Financial Opportunity Center to prepare families to get into those affordable rentals and affordable purchase options. At the same time, we're creating partnerships with folks like University of Hawaii, with developers and builders, with financial institutions, because we know to get a family into an affordable home, it takes more than just the family. They need a team. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
They need the home buying team. They need the renter team. We need the realtors, the mortgage folks. all the supportive services along the way to make it happen. And so we're inking deals with some developer partners. We've got partners that are planning to build about 1,000 affordable rentals and for-sale units over the next 5-10 years. And that gives a place for the families who qualify with us a home to go to, hopefully, right? And
absolutely.
I think you said it. There's a lot of work to be done to get those homes online, but the Financial Opportunity Center is a great place to start.
I mean, I am always amazed by the work that you're doing, and I think it is a great place to start. And I love that you're partnering with so many different folks. And, the other thing that we deal with in Hawaii is that we have what they term a high living wage. Right, and we're always talking about how do we help people earn a living wage to live here when so many of our costs are so high on a number of different levels, much of which actually is in government's control in terms of some of the ways that we do things that could help bring, there's things that we could do to mitigate that and bring down that living wage cost that's very high compared to many places in the nation. And so I love that you are then looking as well as, what are their aspirations? What kind of careers do they want to get into? What kind of careers will help them get to sort of that higher living wage? What are you hearing? What are most people looking for these days?
What's interesting is that we see a lot of movement in the health sector, which I think is probably not surprising considering the unprecedented amount of investments that have gone there as a result of COVID.
Yes.
But I think previously, even with the Affordable Care Act, you started to see healthcare as an industry really start to blossom and folks being interested in that. So we're seeing more folks interested there. I think the construction industry,
great,
Pamela, is another space. And I think considering that we have a president right now who announced, the American Jobs Plan, he's looking to make the largest investment in infrastructure and affordable housing since FDR.
Yes.
Means that there's a lot of construction folks that we need to get folks in the game on that, and that helps address in particular this affordable housing crisis because you're building the bench, folks who can get out there and get infrastructure in the ground and homes to go up.
Yeah.
But those are the two primary ones. I'll tell you, and I think your listeners probably all know, and that folks also are interested in just doing a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
A little small business, a little venture that might be able to give them a little bit extra dollars, and they can work on that in their own time, in addition to their current job. And we see that because I think there's a lot of folks who have that entrepreneurial spirit, as you said. I think it's alive and well, and we help support that. We've got some partners in Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement, in particular, who helps do some small business training and small business loans. And of course, you've got MEO over there that's doing a very similar thing. And so these are the type of partners that we can get our families to, so that they can kind of use that as an avenue to increase income while still staying true to their entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because people think about job training and workforce training, but I'm glad that you're also helping them, if they have that entrepreneurial spirit, move into some of those other services, because we're very fortunate to have great programs here, as you mentioned, that
Right.
can really
Exactly.
coach people up. If you have a great idea or you want to move in that direction, there's very affordable classes and resources to get you started and really see if it's for you. And learn about that. It takes some effort to learn how to do it all on your own. But as you also point out, you also have financing avenues to help them get started as well.
Exactly.
I think that's really wonderful. And ever since we first met you, we've been so impressed with the work that you're doing and what Hawaiian Community Assets and Community Lending are doing. And now you have received an award to work on a affordable housing and rentals plan, and we're so excited that you're doing this work for the county because we are woefully behind in our number of units. And as I know you're well aware, our median home price is going up now. Things are getting more expensive just in terms of lumber and materials right now.
Oh, yeah.
So, we know that the longer we wait, the more the crisis builds because costs go up and other things happen. So can you share with us a little bit about, the work you're doing, the outreach you did, which was very extensive in the community, and a little bit more about this plan?
Yeah. So in early November, we got contracted by the Office of Council Services, so that's the county council, to be able to develop this comprehensive affordable housing plan. And the whole goal is to lay out a plan for 5,000 affordable homes, that's rental and for sale, that can be put up and get moving in the next 5 years. But really focusing on the data from the 2019 Hawaii Housing Planning Study, which tells us, 54% of the housing units that are needed in Maui County by 2025 need to be affordable for households at 140% AMI and less. And that means the other 46% need to be affordable for families that are over and above 140% AMI. But in that, we've really been charged with taking a look at 3 particular community plan areas where infill options are going to be most viable, trying to reduce sprawl, trying to stay close to transportation and economic hubs. And those 3 community plan areas are Central Maui, West Maui, and South Maui. And so we've got a team of doers working on this plan. I'm sure your listeners have heard about affordable housing plans and studies there. But this is a plan that's being developed by our organization, as well as partners who do affordable housing. So PBR Hawaii is our engineering firm.
Nice.
Or rather, our planning firm. Austin Tsutsumi and Associates is our engineering firm. We've got Rural Community Assistance Corporation, which is a developer themselves of affordable housing in 13 states in the western region of the U.S. They also finance affordable housing. We've got Hawaii Appleseed, which is a policy analyst group. And so, what we all kind of have in common, there's about 20 of us across these different organizations and entities, is that we're used to doing the work. Right?
Yeah.
And so the plan is really an action plan for how do you go from building the units that we are now to what we need. And Pamela, I'll tell you, our estimates show that we need about 4 to 5 times the development if we're going to meet the kind of demand that's out there. And that means significant change.
Right.
And part of this change and what's fueling this change in our plan are the people of Maui, Molokai and Lanai. That the greatest asset the county has are the families that are aspiring to be renters, to be home buyers, folks who've achieved it. But we've gone out and had conversations with community members all across the county there. Unfortunately, we've had to do it by Zoom, which was a little different for us because of COVID. But, we did 11 community meetings at the outset to collect recommendations. We had our team refine those and continue to refine those. We've also done study sessions with the council so they understand where we're going, as well as the administration. And we just recently started launching our community shareback meetings to say, hey, this is what you shared with this community, and how do we strengthen these recommendations so by June we can come with a full plan to the council.
Right.
There's been well over 1,500 Maui County residents who've engaged in this process, either through key stakeholder interviews or community meetings or study sessions. And what I can tell you, Pamela, is that community is ready. I think everybody is ready that we need affordable homes. And if we don't do it now, Pamela, I don't know when we will, because the biggest thing we're hearing out of these meetings is that government needs to take responsibility on affordable housing.
Yes.
Right. And we know this because that's the only way we're going to get deeper levels of affordability for low and very low income families. There needs to be significant investments made in educating and training families to get qualified. There needs to be investments in pilot and demonstration projects that demonstrate what we can do as a community together to get to deeper levels of affordability. And we need to be able to leverage federal funds from the infrastructure bill, the American Jobs Plan, that, again, is going to be the largest federal investment in infrastructure and affordable housing since FDR.
Yeah.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I think, for us.
Yeah.
And community is ready. We're asking the council commit dollars this year for next fiscal year so we can match the federal funds, because we do need to ramp up and do about 4 to 5 times the development if we're going to get those affordable units online.
We've got about 30 seconds, but, I'm really glad that you mentioned that because, this does need to happen. Housing is a basic human need. We need all partners at the table. The chambers keep saying that, and we're building we've separated out some of our committees to revamp some of our committees and are creating affordable housing and rentals committee as well to bring partners together to work on this as well. And it's about us all coming together, and I think you've clearly demonstrated that you are working with a wealth of people. Everybody wants more. We know we need more. We know we're in a crisis state. So I appreciate you mentioning as well the investment. The reason you're talking about such a significant investment and catching up is to leverage the opportunity that's before us.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's really huge. Jeff, you have been a wealth of information, as always. Every time I get to interact with you or hear you speak, I'm always so impressed. Thank you so much for joining us today and providing this helpful information regarding housing and Hawaiian community assets and lending. We're so glad to have you on. We're so glad to have you and your team working on this plan. And I love that everything you're doing is action-oriented. It's about getting it done.
Thanks, Pam. Yeah, and I encourage folks to go to mauihousingplan.org, mauihousingplan.org, take a look at the recommendations, share with us how we can make them better.
Awesome. Thank you so much, mauihousingplan.org. Everybody go there. We're going to have a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back. Aloha.
Mokulele Airlines operates the largest commuter airline hub in the country, right here in Kahului. Fly Mokulele from Kahului to Molokai, Lanai, Hana, Waimea, Kona, and now Hilo. Mokulele also operates the only flights between Kapalua and Honolulu. There is never a middle seat on Mokulele, and every seat has a window and aisle. Visit mokuleleairlines.com and take your next flight from the newly renovated Mokulele Terminal.
We're back. That was very quick, wasn't it? We are actually going to welcome a friend of mine. I've known Toni for many years. Toni Marie Davis is Executive Director of the Activities and Attractions Association of Hawaii, known as A3H. That would be for Activities and Attractions Association. Toni, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Pam, so much. It's an honor to be a guest.
Oh, we're so glad to have you. Toni, you've been doing this for a long time. How long have you been running the Activities and Attractions Association?
Oh, goodness. 24 years.
See,
prior to that, I was activity and attraction. It's such a mouthful. That's why we have A3H. But the current trend for our group in the visitor industry is actually in-destination experiences, because that kind of covers it. It's really a place for people that are visiting a destination to be have their hands held and to actually have a safe and guided experience to engage with the place that they're visiting. Whether that's air, land, or sea, which is really all of our members. So many of my members are your members as well. We're statewide, but, Maui is a huge mecca for activities and attractions. So many people come to visit this place and want to engage in its natural beauty. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I know that, as you point out, we saw many of the activity businesses really suffering with COVID. Many of them came before us and got one of those micro business loan programs. Yeah, talk to us about
it was huge.
What happened.
The state, of course, was probably our state out of the whole United States was the most affected. And I think Maui County probably would have been the most affected because of our dependency on the visitor industry much more, had it not been for our great mayor.
Right.
Our mayor really is looks at the balance and I just need to give him some kudos for his support, with the things that were shut down initially, right? Everything. And then as we started to look for ways to open and, including processes within the different businesses, doing temperature checks and pre-arrival questions on COVID stuff, requiring masks, of course, collecting contact tracing information should God forbid something happens, there is a way to contact everyone. And also, developing kind of a contactless check-in process so that not only the employees stay safe, but the visitors are staying safe with the experience. So all of those things were happening, but, the mayor allowed for luau's to open, for example, with his outside commercial event permit.
Right.
So, the luau's on Maui all got together. I called it co-opetition, which
nice.
I think is a great
new word. Yeah,
that's so. It's like aligned with the Aloha principles, right?
Right.
Cooperation, where you actually are competitors, but you come together for that common ground. And Mayor was akamai enough to really see how it could work and how we could have the balance and keep people safe and allow these businesses to not suffer any longer financially. So it's really been great. He also did a similar thing with the Kanapali boats, who, because of the special area that is, they were limited to 49 passengers. All boats throughout the state are 50% capacity. They're COI. It's a Coast Guard thing. And there's special places where that limit actually, the COI is overridden because of the location, and Kanapali is one of those places. So Mayor actually looked at more of, deck area, 6 feet distancing, can it comply, and adjusted those numbers so those businesses could actually operate. Because operating at a loss, most of them were bleeding shut, right? Because there were fixed costs they had to pay. But then the biggest thing that they feared was opening and then bleeding even more, right?
Yes.
Because, many of them raised their prices. A lot of them, the larger businesses, experienced brain drain. A lot of people moved from this place.
Yeah.
They just couldn't afford it. They couldn't withstand it. And they moved to the mainland, which is really sad. But, our members, we're in the visitor industry. We get lumped into that industry.
Right.
But the people that I work for, they live here.
Absolutely.
They're residents. They're stakeholders in this place. The money or the profits that they make stay here. It's very unlike, the air room, hotel, rental car, airlines industry, which is part of the same sector. But we're often, I don't know, I feel almost like we're the redhead, freckled stepchild in the group. We get overlooked often. And, our mayor has done great things, but statewide, like our hiking trails, they're closed to commercial tours. And it's almost as if the state doesn't get that people in a unorganized, guided tour are less detrimental to the natural environment because they have someone there that's controlling them, bringing them to the places that they should only go. Where, I'm talking about the Na'alahele trails, right?
Yes,
they're closed
absolutely.
throughout the state.
Yes.
We've got 29 trails in Maui.
Well, and also even in other areas. I mean, even in Hana and other areas. What
Hana.
you keep hearing is in other places, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about this because it's something that
I'm disappointed with the Hana, a little bit with the Hana thing because we used the Hyena parking principle with Wainapa Napa Park, right?
Uh-huh.
And it really, there's so many holes in it, and I hate to be negative about it because it's a step in the right direction, but it's actually it's not the end of the road. It's not a perfect model for Hana. Hana needs more than that. And
well, and I think that's really important that while we're in this time of starting this launch and putting this new program out, I think we need to say that, because I've also heard from some people who, they're tour providers, and they're like, when people are with the tour, we're managing them. When people go in and have a reservation and they go to the beach park and they spend some time there, but after they leave there, they're sort of meandering around. So some of the challenges that we are trying to still fix are still there. And that's something you've been promoting as well, how the industry helps, keep people safe, keep people on the trail, keep people doing what they should be doing.
It's pushing people to places we don't want them to go.
Yeah.
If they show up at Wainapa Park and there's no reservations and they didn't know, they're going to places we don't want them to go.
Yeah.
There's a balance in tourism where you actually have places that, I don't want to call them, you sacrifice them, but you manage them. I think that's the piece, that is the big word that we miss in Hawaii with tourism. I mean, tourism is this fabulous economic engine. It's an import industry. I mean, it's an export industry. The import industry is what we need to decline on, like the agriculture. We need to feed ourselves here. We have this beautiful place that we can grow tons of food. We need to stop our imports with food. We really should feed ourselves. But tourism is an export industry. People make their money in a different economy. They come here and they spend that money. That is a beautiful thing economically. What we need to do is to stop the have and the have-not push that's happening with tourism and level out the income and balance that. We need to balance when they come here so that we actually do the hard work of engaging with those people and making sure they stay safe, and more importantly, that this place stays safe.
Right.
And tours do that. And it just boggles my mind sometimes because, like I was saying, the ugly stepchild, right? We end up with the short end of the stick a lot of the time. And because the people that own these businesses live here, and the reason they do what they do, it gives them a livelihood. But if as Kama'aina.org is a great place to go and do tours at a less expensive price. Many of the members participate. But the tour companies themselves, they're stewards to this place. They have a great passion about what they do. If they're a hiking company, they love the land, and they take care of the land, and they take the trash out. They help people that aren't on a tour that need help. Our boats are always saving people that are just swimming or kayaking. We are this almost like a safety patrol of this place for those people that just for whatever reason didn't go on a organized tour.
Yeah. And you point out in the water, I mean, I know, working with some of the activity companies who, teach surf lessons or kite sailing and windsurfing and all of that, they talk about those stories. I'm always fascinated to hear the stories of the rescues and the stories of telling people, hey, you can't go in that area. That area is reserved for for locals, and you need to stay here, and here's how you do it. Yeah, I know that's a really important management part that you folks do that many don't even know exists.
Well, they don't connect it.
Yeah.
Too often there's this skepticism of, they look at it and they're like, oh, they're making money off this place. And to them, that's distasteful. And they automatically categorize it, right? And it's a bad thing. Where if you really, it's like anything. It's why travel is so beautiful, right? Travel is where you go to places that you are odd or different, and you recognize by engaging in it that we're all kind of the same. There's all these commonalities. Well, if people would take the time to go on these, visitor marketed tours, they would see the depths of that with these businesses, of how they do take care of this place.
Toni, we have about 2 minutes left. What recommendations would you make on how we can better manage tourism and overcome some of the challenges that you're seeing?
The biggest thing that we could do is at a government level, we need to stop looking at tours as something they need to police and control. They need to have a partnership with these people that are running these businesses, and they need to work together. There's so much knowledge and experience of this place that if it was done together, as opposed to this kind of policing kind of approach and this hampering and controlling, we would just leapfrog over so much of the problems that we have, because as tour operators, we see it more than anybody.
Yeah, because you're working in that area daily.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Toni, you two are always such a great wealth of information, and I know this is kind of rapid fire. How do we have a very big
25 minutes? That's not a lot. When I saw that, I was just like, well, I'm not making any notes. I'm just going to talk. Because you're my neighbor, I guess. We've known each other for years. It's great, and thank you for the opportunity. Really, I admire you so much in all the things that you do in protecting and really involving the community, and trying to do what I was saying, where you balance and bring us all together, because that's where we make the biggest difference in this place, is by coming together and finding that common ground, and then moving forward, taking action. Yeah.
It is, and I so appreciate you sharing your thoughts and ideas, because, as you said, it's about us coming together, and that's something that I think is so important for us to be working on at this time. And like you talked about, you gave an example and said, we have to partner together. Often we look at things from enforcement, but if we have more dialogue, you and I do a lot of testimony, and we're so glad. I don't know about you, but I'm personally glad to see the Zoom meetings, because more people are coming forward to testify. I mean,
I've always pushed for those kind of things. It was GoToMeeting or WebEx before. And everybody was kind of cold about it, but I love the Zoom thing. It's so efficient.
It is so. I mean,
it's
us
green too. I mean, it reduces our carbon footprint. We're not going anywhere in our cars, and
exactly.
It's so much more productive. I'm German, so it's like I like that, being productive and getting stuff done and doing the right thing. It's just,
I too. I've really been amazed. I love watching the people coming out, but we're also finding that, of course, as we give testimony, and so many people come together in the testimony, it's always one directional.
People that you wouldn't normally get. It's really, and it's what we need to do. Yes.
Yeah, no, it is. But it's still sort of one directional. We each have our say, but we don't have a chance for the dialogue and the interaction. Mm-hmm. Where we can hear what somebody the council gets to ask questions, but as a public, we don't get to ask questions of each other or engage in that sort of meaningful dialogue to ferret out the nuances and really deeply kind of understand people's positions. And I'm also very excited to see other groups starting to form. We talked to Jeff Gilbreath a little bit earlier, and the partnerships he's putting in place as we start working on affordable housing and rentals. You and I worked on the county task force and the DMAP program, and there's so many things happening in tourism right now. We're at this point where we have an opportunity for great change in a way that is.
We need to do it. Yeah. We need to take that action right away, though.
We do.
There is this pent-up, I was kind of skeptical about the whole pent-up people wanting to visit. I really felt like, from looking at surveys and data, that people really weren't going to vacation. They were really just staying safe and hunkering down and driving, not getting on a plane. But, as we've seen, that's not the case. People are coming.
Yeah.
They really, and it's the unique thing about Maui. Maui has one of the highest return visitors rates. And, this place is so special. It is just so, so special. All the more reason that we need to protect it and find that balance. But that a lot of the visitors that do come here, they love this place. And they look for opportunities to, the whole volunteerism movement, I think, is so fabulous. We need to really look at those diversifying ways of engaging our guests that come here. But activities and attractions. I mean, it's really key to any destination. People can flop and drop on a beach anywhere.
Yeah.
But to engage in this place and do the things that are so unique here in Hawaii, and interweaving that with our culture, with the Hawaiian culture, is just so beautiful. And I kind of feel like it's our duty in being privileged to live here that we share this place, and that each visitor that comes here, our goal should be to plant a seed of aloha. And
absolutely.
Plant that deep within each person that comes here, so that when they go back to wherever they came from, they have that sense of love and acceptance and, the diversification of our cultures here. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about this place that I love so much.
I hear you. Well, I that was a great note to end on, Toni. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Pam, again for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
You bet. We'll have you on again soon, and thank you so much. And I think you really conveyed some beautiful messages and helped us understand more about the industry. So thank you for doing that.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Kakiaka. Aloha.
I want to take a quick minute to share a little bit about one of our sponsors, our title sponsor, Sherry Reeve Gallery and Gifts. If you don't know Sherry Reeve, but most of us do, she is a renowned watercolor artist who offers an array of bright and beautiful art and gifts for really every occasion. She has her gallery and has had her gallery for well over 20 years in historic Makawao town. So if you're looking for some amazing art or spectacular gifts, she also has those Sherry shirts that we all know and love. They're so comfortable to wear. Visit Sherry Reeve Gallery and Gifts in Makawao town. Now we're going to get to meet Karli Rose. She is the owner and designer of Bella Vita Apothecary, LLC. Aloha, Karli. How are you?
Aloha, Pam. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. I love the name Apothecary. I love Bella Vita Apothecary, and a lot of people are so curious about what apothecary even means. Can you tell us a little bit about your story and how you started this company, and what does apothecary actually mean?
Sure. So apothecary comes from, the 1800s. It was the pharmacy back in the day where they would take herbs and make remedies. And actually the first shampoo was made from a powdered herb combination by an apothecarist, so to speak. And so that's where my business comes from. We handcraft all natural bath and body products, everything from candles, soaps, to skincare, and now we're moving into hair care. And everything is 100% natural. We focus on using the highest quality oils, and we use organic whenever possible.
That's really amazing. Now, what was the passion behind this? How did you get into this type of business?
When I was younger, I had really sensitive skin. I was always breaking out in hives and super itchy. And as I got a little older, about 19, I got really obsessed with ingredients, and I started experimenting and making my own products. And I found out that I was allergic to added fragrance.
Yeah.
So everything from laundry detergent, anything that has added fragrance, I would have a reaction to. So I just started making my own products and really got obsessed with ingredients, and that led to my love and passion of working in the salon spa industry, which I've worked in for over 20 years. And now with everything that I know with professional products and my ingredient knowledge, it was my passion to create my own line to offer to the public.
And how many years have you been doing that?
So I started the company in 2017 and started with just a few candles, and now we have about 186 products.
And you've been one of our Made in Maui County Festival vendors.
Yes, we love Made in Maui. Such a wonderful festival, bringing all of the wonderful Maui makers together.
Well, we've been so glad, I think that's where we first met, and it was great to have you participate and to hear that you have now created a product line of 186 products. What are some of your best sellers?
So our number one bestseller is our Everything Spray. That is an aromatic, all-natural base spray that you can use everywhere. Linens, your car, refreshing your clothes from that musty Maui humid smell. You can use it head to toe. It's safe for skin. And that's our number one bestseller, along with our lip balms, which have just gone crazy. It's made with mango butter, avocado oil, and it's 100% natural.
Wow. I mean, they sound, I was next to you at one point and we were sampling some products and everything's luscious. I mean, it just feels so creamy and silky and wonderful on your skin.
Yeah, there's a misconception that if everything is natural, it's not going to smell good. And even though I want things to be super clean and 100% natural, I still want it to feel and smell delicious. So that has been my goal, is to create beautiful, fragrant, aromatic products that are completely natural.
And they don't overpower you.
No.
I'm a little sensitive too with that. So it is, it's nice and soft, but there. And,
yes.
And so that must be an amazing trick to find that balance.
It takes
really,
a lot of time in research. I love knowledge. The more I can learn about ingredients and what's out there, it's what drives me.
I love hearing that passion and the long-standing experience, and that it comes from something that you were addressing as a teenager too. I had a similar issue. I seem to have grown out of it to some extent, but I remember everybody would always give me this Neutrogena that was supposed to be, the product for people who were had allergies and needed something different, and that was the thing I was most allergic to.
Right? I know. I used Neutrogena too, and it did not work for me. And I find more and more customers that I talk to all have very similar issues, and they can't really quite pinpoint what it is they're allergic to.
Yeah. So, but somehow you've been able to refine that to put things in your products that work well for those who have allergies. So, because as you say, a lot of people are allergic to the fragrances, and I don't know if it's the concentration of the fragrance or the fragrance itself. It's something that, when you've got allergies, you're always struggling with.
Synthetic fragrances are made up of a combination of 500 plus ingredients.
Wow.
At any time, a perfumist will have 5,000 different compositions in front of them that they use to create these aroma bases. So, there's such a myriad of different ingredients in one aroma that it could be a multitude of things that you can be allergic to.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. It sounds like an amazing chemist. Getting back to that apothecary history of blending and figuring things out.
Yes. And so instead of, 5,000 synthetic ingredients, we have, a small combination of organic essential oils, organic oil infusions, and oil blends that we use.
Yeah, nice. But yet you've been able to diversify into 186 products. That is phenomenal.
Yes, and we're still growing.
And you're still glowing. Yes, you are. Glowing and growing, I'm sure.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So tell me about where people can find these products, Karli.
So you can find us at a myriad of different locations here on the island. We are in Wailea at Paper Garden. You can find us at Hawaiian Moons Health Food Store in Kihei. We're at the Maui Pineapple Store in Lahaina, Designing Wahine up in Makawao, Wings in Paia. You can also shop for us online at www.bvapothecary.com. And you can always find us on social media at bvapothecary.com, Instagram, and Facebook.
Awesome. How have you been doing selling online? Have you moved more in that arena with the pandemic?
Yeah, we really put our focus during the peak of the shutdown on online sales and have increased our business tremendously. Before then, we had really just been focusing on wholesale to our local market statewide and really hadn't put much energy into the online marketplace. But with the pandemic, it shifted our focus, and it has been amazing the amount of customers globally that want to support the Hawaii economy.
Yeah, we are finding, again, and I think that really lends to what we've seen sort of on the bounce back of visitors, that there was this pent-up demand, and people were really wanting to shop local during the pandemic. And we were, when we made that switch this year to put the Maid of Maui County Festival online, we ended up saying, okay, well, we didn't know how it would go after the festival, but we would keep it up. And sales are still coming through on the Maid of Maui County Festival site.
We get a lot of inquiries and messages back from people that have found us on the Maid in Maui website.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, that has been a great connection.
Oh,
so thank you for that. We appreciate that.
Well, you're very welcome. We just didn't know transferring from a live event. We know sales are better live, and we hope to do a live event this year. Actually, we hope to do a hybrid of live and online now that we've created that online system. Wonderful. But, we know sales are much higher when they're live. You're in person, you're smelling, you're sampling, you're enjoying, and so sales go up tremendously. So we, did do the pivot, and we're glad that the sales are still continuing, but we know that it's not the same as a live event. So we're hopeful. Keep your fingers crossed for us, and
Yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. The Maid in Maui event has always been such a blessing for us, and we love participating, so we look forward to it every year. And then also to connect with the other Maui vendors. It's so amazing, the talent that we have on this island, and to be able to be introduced to new products and just the connections that we've made has been invaluable.
Well, thank you for saying that and sharing with us, Karli. We've loved having you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Pam.
You're welcome. It goes quick. That's all the time we have today for Business Matters, sponsored by Mokulele Airlines and Sherry Reeve Gallery and Gifts. I'm Pamela Tumpot, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, wishing you blessings and best wishes for a beautiful Maui day. Aloha.